folks, welcome back to another one of our videos in this series of thriving, not just surviving at home right now for seniors. Really excited to have with me today Cameo Rogers, who is our Life Enrichment Manager at the Corporate Home Office. She oversees a whole team of amazing life enrichment folks, comes very well credentialed. In fact, on another one of these resource videos, we'll have to get into brain games because she has a lot of really great expertise in the world of keeping your brain healthy and young. But without further ado, Cameo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So we're really excited to dig in today all about staying virtually connected. So this is a big topic, especially right now. I know that just all over the United States, we've had to quickly figure out what are the best ways that we can meaningfully engage and stay connected, but especially for seniors, because technology can be a big thing. There's a lot of great opportunity out there, but there's just so much technology out there. For somebody over the age of 60, 65, it could somewhat be overwhelming. But before we get into any of that on the virtual side of things, why is it so important for seniors, especially seniors, I mean, certainly all of us, to stay connected, socially engaged somehow, even though we're all hunkering down at home right now?
That's a great question, and it's something that's really near and dear to my heart. I'm a recreational therapist by trade, and so I know the research that is just supports the importance of staying connected with those who you feel are a good support for you. And the unfortunate truth is that seniors have a tendency to have a shrinking social circle as they get older. And so the fact that they're not able to connect directly with that social circle at this point during social distancing is really unfortunate. And we know that the research supports that social isolation and loneliness is as detrimental to physical health as obesity and smoking. So it can have some serious long-term health effects. And the opposite side of things, it has some brain health protective factors. Social engagement has been shown that it can actually improve health as it relates to cutting down the risk of dementia or depression or anxiety. So it's a significant and important issue for people.
You know, that's so interesting. We just did a whole series, actual education for the public at large regarding loneliness and the fact that, yes, it is as detrimental. Being lonely, deeply lonely, is as detrimental as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I mean, it's not just a small amount of smoking. It's a pretty significant investment in smoking, and certainly has been linked to early onset of dementia. They're linking it to lots of different types of heart disease and problems with that, all sorts of crazy, like, real chronic issues that can come out of loneliness. And right now it's so incredibly hard to stay connected, right? So we are doing some amazing things, and I jumped right over the top of that, but you lead a whole team of life enrichment experts at Emmanuel. So what does that really mean? Like, give us an idea of the scope of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis before we jump into maybe some of the ideas that we can use to stay connected.
So there's a lot of things happening actually at Emmanuel for life enrichment, and it's a variety of things. It's connecting residents with tools to engage their minds and to challenge themselves creatively, cognitively, and socially. We can still make phone calls. We can still write letters. We can journal. There's a lot of things that we can still do. And so our life enrichment teams are really getting creative and using all the tools in their toolbox. We've done caption this challenges with wildlife photos. We have some communities that have really delved into the concept of a creative expression challenge and adult coloring, relaxation. We've also had a complete company-wide brain booster challenge where we did trivia every day, and everyone jumped in on that. There was history questions, music questions, and it was so fun to see the engagement that happened with that. We're also right now in the middle of a series that we purchased through Art Your Service, and so we're doing a mindfulness series right now with daily reflection activities for creating or cultivating gratitude and positive thinking. So a lot of things happening here.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to get to unpack some of those other great things, and I'm sure you're going to have all sorts of really wonderful tips for us to be able to use to stay either connected as the senior or as the family member wanting to stay connected both ways. I mean, I'm looking for ways to stay actively engaged and connected to my parents and my husband's parents, and they're looking for ways to stay actively engaged with their grandkids, and it's like all the way around, how do we stay connected? But let's talk about virtual connection. What are some of the different ways? And this is funny, we're using this video conference, and I think this probably kind of moves nicely into some of the different ways, but it's meaningful to see somebody's smile. It's meaningful to see somebody's eyes and be able to see them, if they're unhappy, to see them not looking happy. That's a really important thing as a human being and staying socially connected. So I'm home, I'm trying to hunker down at home, I'm trying to hunker down in my apartment home in the Emmanuel communities. How do we still stay virtually, visibly connected with the people that we love? Like, what are some of the things out there for us?
So I know our communities right now, and many communities across the United States, are working on using Zoom as a resource for families to connect with residents that are living in senior living. We also are using Skype, FaceTime. We've tried out Google Duo. There are different applications, websites that are out there that people can try depending on whatever hardware they're using. If they're using an Android tablet, there's certain software that goes with that. If they're using Apple products, there's a lot of resources. The great thing is that most of them are pretty simple to use once you get your username set up. That's a beautiful thing about senior living environments, is that we have our life enrichment team members who can help and can get these things set up and provide some technical support as needed when families are trying to get connected. So there's a lot of tools that are available for us. We also are seeing communities do things like pen pal drives, and we're doing a virtual pen pal drive, and working on getting emails back and forth. And, there's just a lot of tools that are available to us right now. And we are fortunate that we're able to provide that extra level of support in senior living. There's some additional tools that are available, though, for seniors living at home who do not know how to use Zoom, who do not know how to use Skype. Yeah. There is a great tool out there right now, Leading Age Cast. They are partnered with an organization called Cyber Seniors, and Cyber Seniors website, which is cyberseniors.org, has a daily practice Zoom meeting available for free for seniors who want to learn how to use Zoom. And they also have some recorded YouTube videos that are linked right there on their website, so seniors can get in there and learn how to use Zoom and practice that and get comfortable before they get thrown into a big family meeting.
We're using laptops. Both you and I are both using laptops, but we could be doing the very same thing that we're doing right now with the video conferencing, using Zoom or using Skype. Both of those are really well-known, two different types of tools, really well-known, very similar in what they do. We could be doing the same thing with a smartphone. We could be doing the same thing with our smart tablet. So most of us have that type of technology, which is really great. And I can guarantee you, if you're wondering, all you got to do is ask your grandchild, or maybe even ask your son or your daughter if you're wondering, hey, how do I stay connected? Or definitely check out the links we're going to put below here for how to use Zoom through Leading Age, which is fabulous. Now, FaceTime, you mentioned FaceTime. Can you share a little bit more about what is FaceTime, and is it just an Apple product? Is it an Apple and an Android product? What's the difference between Apple and Android? Give me a little bit more, help me unpack some of that as well.
You bet, you bet. So FaceTime is an application that works on Apple devices. So if you have an iPad or an iPhone, FaceTime will connect you to another user who has another Apple device. So it's Apple products to Apple products. And it's simple to use. It's set up very similar to Skype. It's just that it only communicates if you have an Apple product. Mm-hmm. So for people like me who have an Android, and Android would be anything that's not Apple, anything that doesn't have that lowercase I in front of it. So I have a Samsung Galaxy, and so the Samsung phones are like that. Google Pixels. There's a lot of other phones that that have that same kind of software on it. So an Android type of phone. And for those type of phones, if you have one person who has an Android phone, like a Samsung, and then my sister has an Apple, an iPhone, I tend to use another software that's free called Google Duo. And that app works between an Android user and an Apple user. So I use that. Actually, I've tried that with some of my life enrichment managers as I've been coaching them through some of the technology that they're using with residents. We've been getting onto Google Duo so I can see what they're doing when they're doing it.
So Google Duo basically allows you to do the same thing that FaceTime does, which is essentially have a face-to-face phone call.
Yes, exactly, except it's between two different types of phones. So
Nice.
They're all free, which is a great resource. They just talk to each other a little bit differently. So those are pretty easy to use. I've tried each of the ones that I've mentioned, FaceTime, Zoom, and Google Duo, and they're pretty easy to use and pretty easy to set up.
Okay, so we've just gone through Zoom, which is video conferencing, Skype, which is video conferencing. We could use FaceTime, which is the Apple version of the phone, one-to-one, I guess, phone conversations where we can see each other. And then same thing, the Android phones have the same thing depending on the type of device you have, but it has similar, so you have to connect to the same type of device. And then Google Duo, if you have two different types of phones or two different types of smart tablets and you still want to connect and be able to see them, that's fantastic. And we're gonna, like I said, we'll have all that in the tip sheets, all those little tidbits. I've got to give you insight, and I just want to hear like what kinds of interesting, fun things you're going to do. You're doing with your family or with your life enrichment managers. But my family's set up, and it's funny because I send out a text message. We have all different ages in my family. We're going to do a scavenger hunt, so everybody will have scavenger hunt type things that they can find in their house, ways in which they could define it. We're going to have prizes, all that fun stuff, and then we are going to connect, and we're in 7 different states actually, and we span the ages of, I think my youngest nephew is 4, and all the way up to, who are the oldest people that are going to be, not quite 70, so 4 to 70, actually 4 to 72, the ages that are going to be connecting, but we're all going to connect via Zoom, and there'll be 8 different households actually on this connection. So we're really excited about the scavenger hunt that's going to get issued out on Friday. My mom's helping us to create what items we're hunting for. And then we're going to come back together and kind of do a show and tell and just a connection sort of happy hour together on Sunday afternoon. Really excited about that. What other types of ways are you guys already in life enrichment using Zoom and platforms that allow us to connect visibly and also audibly with so it's kind of like being in person. It's almost like being in person. But what other tips do you have or ideas that you have on ways we could be leveraging technology?
Well, just some tips, and these are from just personal things that we've been trying out, and then also things that we're planning out that haven't happened quite yet. But I know that we are using, you can use Zoom or any of those other video conferencing tools that we talked about to do virtual board games. So one person can have Trivial Pursuit or Pictionary, and the other family members can guess and participate, being over the computer or tablet. They're just doing a book club discussion. You can do that over Zoom. So you can each have your own copy of the book, and you're just touching base on where you're at in the book. Catching up with the grandkids and having them sing to you or tell you about what's going on. Most of them missed their their spring concerts and their music contests. So I know my daughter was supposed to be competing at Malcolm District Music Contest, and so we recorded her doing her trombone solo, and Grandma was able to see that. So I'm also connecting on a consistent basis with my grandmother, who lives in an independent living community, more in the central Nebraska, central South. And so we've been connecting on Facebook Messenger video and just touching base, and she's showing me how she's doing with her puzzles that she works on every day. And so, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Most of the different activities that you do each day that you would do together, the only difference is that you're not in physical proximity, but most of the things that you could do, you can do over this virtual talking. I traveled for a number of years in my career to different communities all across 5 states. And so I would put the video camera on with my kids and I would read them stories goodnight and have our regular daily routine. I was just doing it on Skype. So anything is possible.
I love that. And you know, it's funny. It strikes me that right now, as we're hunkering down, we have less distractions in the world at large. And it's maybe a really great time to use some of this technology to reconnect with the people that are meaningful to us in our lives or that are really important in our lives. So thank you for all these really great tips. I love that. I love the board games, the virtual board games. That's fun. I'd love to figure out how to play cards, but somehow I feel like that's just ripe for cheating. If you have a whole deck of cards in front of you, I feel like that's an easy way for you to maybe have 4 aces if you're playing a game of pokers with, you know, no other opponent. So maybe the cards are not necessarily the thing to try.
Cards may be a little bit tricky, but virtual chess is possible, but you better watch that board.
I love it. I love it. Well, we will be back again with more resources, but Cameo, this has been really fantastic and helpful. And for all of you out there who are wondering how to use Zoom or something like Skype, maybe that's overwhelming or maybe you're using it and it's fantastic and you'd like to share more with us, I highly encourage you to engage with us on social media. Emmanuel is all over social media, so give us some of your ideas, some of your tips, ways in which you've stayed virtually connected or you're staying virtually connected with your family members. Cameo mentioned Virtually Connected. We have an actual virtual pen pal. So if you want to connect with any of Emmanuel's seniors, maybe you have a friend in one of our communities and you'd like to connect with our seniors, we'd invite you to do so, or just want to connect with seniors in general who are in our communities, and you can do so at virtuallyconnected@emmanuel.com. So just send us an email at virtuallyconnected@emmanuel.com. We'd love to see that. It has some really amazing stories coming out of that. And we're going to put all those tip sheets and the resources with the training video on how to actually use Zoom and some of those other tech platforms. And we cannot wait to see you again next week or this week with some more resources here as we are all working to not just survive, but thrive as we're hunkering down at home. So thanks, Cameo. Appreciate you coming on. We'll see you again in another one of these resource shows.